everyone. My name is Lara Suarez. Today I'm going to talk to you about cyber careers. I work for MITRE Corporation, and you will note that on the slide, I don't say cybersecurity, and that's because cyber encompasses a large number of opportunities that you can work in, some of which I will actually talk about because I've had the opportunity to span multiple different opportunities within the cyber career field. As I mentioned, my name is Lara Suarez. I'm originally from New York. I currently live in Colorado. I have 3 degrees, and I've had a number of different jobs over my professional career. One thing that I want to note is that through my career, there hasn't been one specific path that got me to where I am today within the cyber career field. I've had the opportunity to take advantage of opportunities that were afforded to me, and then also really the ability to kind of pursue my interests. So you'll note there that I actually started off with a criminal justice degree. I knew from an early age that I wanted to be part of potentially something related to federal law enforcement. And so I thought to myself, I definitely want to do that. So probably a good way to do that is taking a career within the Army and using that as a stepping stone. And realized that, when I went through the military police corps, it was something that I truly enjoyed. But when I got out of active duty and I went to the reserves, I was afforded an opportunity to take a career shift and take a position within the space operations realm, known as the Functional Area 40. And so that kind of led me to where I am today with cyber. I recognized that there was a connection between space and cyber, and that landed me a job at Booz Allen Hamilton, and then later landed me a job at MITRE. So how I started my career, as I mentioned, I recognized the intersection between both space and cyber careers, and it was essentially a niche field because not many people had that background, a cyber background, where they can apply cyber principles to defending space assets. And so I created essentially a niche for myself in that area. And one of the first introductions that got me to that is essentially taking a course known as the Certified Ethical Hacking certification. And it was an extremely interesting way of getting very much clued into this type of career. It provides you kind of a perspective of the bad actors, kind of how they go about their business. And it essentially made me never want to touch a computer again, recognizing how many vulnerabilities exist within the computing world. And but it also made me think about how I really wanted to defend critical assets for the United States. And so that really got me off to one of my first jobs is working with a space think tank. And I was assigned the role of trying to stand up a cyber division, in which I did. And our focus area was the defense of critical space assets and basically ensuring that those critical assets had a lot of cybersecurity related functions and capabilities to ensure that should anything happen, they would continue to be up and running and resilient during a time of need. So what do? My job title is a principal cyber operations engineer with MITRE. And as I mentioned, cyber spans a number of different career opportunities. And so I've been able to work the full spectrum of cyber. I've worked on the defensive side of the house. I've also worked on the offensive side of the house. I've worked with many different government agencies, many groups, whether they're government, whether they're law enforcement. And I've had the opportunity to work in a number of different fields where I'm looking at strategic and operational plans. I'm also looking at how I build capability that align with those strategic and operational plans. And then I'm also learning tactics, techniques, and procedures to make sure that we are able to do that. And so on another scale, I've worked with the intelligence community quite a bit. I've done quite a bit of analysis in this area. All of my work is rooted within intelligence and data-driven types of analysis, which helps us get to being able to solve complex problems. And so on the bottom there, you'll notice a number of different words that kind of talk about the types of different areas that I've worked in. I've done a number of different assessments. I've been an intelligence analyst. I've worked on the defensive side of the house. And as I mentioned, I've also worked on the offensive side of the house, doing a lot of different type of assessments and rapid prototyping in that area. So some of the cool experiences that I've had over my time is, as you can imagine, 2006, I was a 24-year-old and I was given quite a bit of responsibility as a first lieutenant over in Iraq. At one point, while I was overseas, I was in charge of over 170 personnel. And I had a really great opportunity to take over one of the programs known as the Chief of Iraqi Police Services, where we were working hand in hand with the Iraqi police to basically advance their community policing and advance some of their capabilities in that area. And so that was one of the really cool things that I got to do while I was over there. And I was a mini commander at one point, also of a military police platoon and an infantry platoon, which is very unusual for somebody that's in the military police field and also a female. I later on, when I changed over to a cyber career, I've done a number of different threat impact assessments. I created a methodology which allows you to analyze what's known as exfiltrated information. So if you can imagine information that was maybe stolen from your laptop, and basically what the methodology does is identify how critical that information is and whether or not that information is actionable for the parties that now have it in their hands. And so the last thing that I'll note there too is, as part of the assessments that I've done a number of different assessments to determine how vulnerable our critical space systems are. And based on those assessments, we have changed our security posture to make sure that we are at the highest levels possible to defend ourselves against any type of cyber attacks. And so what I'm going to transition to now is talk to you a little bit more about what it means to have a cyber career. And so when considering any career, you want to ask yourself a few questions. And this is some of the things that I've done as lessons learned. And so throughout my career, I've realized that there may be things that over time will be more important to you than others. And so you really want to evaluate yourself in the sense of what strengths do you hold? When we talk about soft skills, we talk about, can you communicate? How well can you write? What kind of leader are you? And hard skills, you want to talk about maybe some technical skills within the fields that you care about. Do you have those technical skills? And if you don't, do you have a way of basically building yourself up to have those skill sets? When it comes to interests, it may be interest in the sense that you might think that STEM is for you. You might think that STEM is not for you. You might go a different route. And then later on, your interests change and you realize, oh, STEM is for me. That was the kind of experience that I had. STEM did not interest me in the beginning, but completely interests me now in the way that I work today. Work-life balance is a huge deal for me today. I like to make sure that I do not have to be forced to work more than 40 hours a week if I do not want to. Earnings is a big thing that I'll also talk about later on. But are there potential for higher earnings throughout your career, whether you are early, mid, or later career field? What type of career goals do you have? Are you interested in starting up a business? Are you interested in working up with a startup company? Do you want to go through management? What kinds of things do you want today? And again, things that might change in the future. And then types of training and education needed for continuous learning. In the cyber career field, you are going to have to continuously learn throughout your entire career field on a daily basis, essentially, because it's a rapidly moving environment. And I'll get a little bit more into that in the later slide. But really, what you want to understand is, what kind of training do I need? What kind of education? And how do I stay relevant within my field so that I can be a subject matter expert for the entirety of my career? And then lastly, what type of employment opportunities exist? And we'll get into this a lot more too in terms of supply and demand. Within a cyber career field, supply and demand is very big. The supply is small and the demand is very large. So that opens up a number of opportunities for you in terms of whether you want to stay into one company or move companies, you want to stay into one field of cyber or not. There's a lot of opportunities afforded just because of the supply and demand. What to consider when applying to jobs. So again, another set of lessons learned that I'll share with you is that you want to do your research on companies and the jobs that you apply to. And in your early career, you may focus on getting a job and just focusing on that one set of experience that's going to land you the dream job later on. But really, you want to look at it from the perspective of, does that company's value, do the company's values match yours? You know, are they interested in diversity? Are they interested in giving back to the community? What kind of things can you relate to that the company really looks forward to? In my company, our company motto is doing things for a safer world. So we are constantly looking at solving problems for a safer world. And that to me, that is important to me. And that's what I resonate with. You also want to look at the different types of benefits that are afforded to you. Will they pay for additional education? How good are their retirement offerings? Do they do matching? How good are their healthcare, dental, and vision plans? What type of disability leave options do they have? And what type of overall leave options do they have? Do they have an opportunity where you can have sick leave? Loan repayment programs. For you, that might be a big thing in terms of loan repayments, particularly in today's environment where we're seeing higher and higher education costs that require loans. And so if a company offers loan repayments, that is a big thing that I know I took advantage of. When it comes to having children, do they have opportunities for you as a new parent? They have opportunities for you as adoption. And then life insurance, and then even commuter options in which, you know, if you're working in the DC area, they might have options where you can get different discounts when it comes to taking the metro. All things you definitely want to look into to see what kind of things that would interest you and help you in your life. When it comes to earning potential compensation, I talked about this a little bit, but compensation is big. Earning potential could be very large over the scale of your career. And when it comes to a cyber career, the earning potential is infinite. You could start at a very high base salary and work your way up. You could also start at a low base salary and work your way up. I know of instances in which, you know, both have been done, and where salaries are extremely high. And that also goes back to the concept of low supply, high demand. That creates that opportunity of high earning potential. Moving up the corporate ladder, what types of opportunities are there for you to showcase your leadership, to be able to lead people, to be able to lead projects? That is something that would be something that you want to look into. Same thing with the flexibility in work schedule. If I'm allowed to work 40 hours a week, can I flex one day and work harder the next day to make those 40 hours out? That's something you want to look into. And then job duties. What are job duties aligned to the things that you want to be doing? Lastly, location. In today's environment, working from home is starting to become the norm. But cyber has been kind of the lead in this area where you can work from home and you can still do your job and have an impact and contribute to a number of different projects and work programs that you become part of. But there's also a number of different locations that you can be a part of as well across the nation and or across the world, where cyber is a key ingredient to the success of nations and success of companies. So what is the state of the workforce today for cyber? So getting real into it, there is a cyber skill set shortage, and there always has been. But what you'll note here is that a study done by the Enterprise Strategic Group has showcased that it's actually getting worse over the past few years. And that's for a number of reasons. One of which being that the demand is getting much higher, and it's very hard to keep skilled people, and it's very hard to train skilled people. So, you know, right now they're showcasing that 45% of respondents state that cybersecurity skills shortage are a huge impact to their company. And so, you know, that knowing that there's a skill shortage, there's an opportunity here when it comes to choosing a cyber career. Also, when it comes to women in the workforce, Cybersecurity Ventures study basically identified in 2020 that women only make up 20% of the cybersecurity workforce, and that is an 11% increase since 2011. What they've also noted in a number of their research documents is that by this year alone, 3.5 million job openings will remain. And so again, an opportunity because there's such a shortage of skill sets, an opportunity because there's so much high demand, and an opportunity for women because, you know, women only make up a small set of the workforce. And, you know, some of that is because of a misconception where women feel that they are not good at STEM. And that is a message and sometimes a perception that they feel from a young age. And I know for myself, that was the case. I did not feel that I was good enough at STEM. And so I focused on things that I thought I was better at. But really, in my opinion now, looking back, I should have taken that risk. I should have put more effort into becoming skilled in these areas. And it would have allowed me to join the workforce in the cyber career much sooner. So here are some examples of why I think you as young women should choose cyber careers. There are so many opportunities right now that are specifically designed about women and drawing and recruiting women into the career field. The government, industry, schools and colleges, they're offering free training opportunities, scholarships, many incentives, internships and job opportunities that might draw you to kind of showcase, hey, what does it mean to be in this career field? What type of jobs are out there that interest me? And I would encourage you to take advantage of those opportunities. Further, if you were to come into this field, you're actually contributing to the diversity of this field. While only 20% of women in this field, if we were able to draw in more women, we know that women bring a fresh perspective. Women have other different ideas that are allowing innovation, allowing for creative ideas to manifest. And we also lead differently. And so it's a different set that we bring to the table that, now where people are realizing that diversity is a big thing, because if you're drawing from the same pool of people, same gender, same location, you're creating a group think like structure. If you introduce diversity, particularly with women and or women of color, then you have an opportunity to really expand the innovation and the driving force of new ideas within the community, within the workforce, and within the nation. Also, as I mentioned, the career benefits here, the supply and demand, the idea that there's going to be so much demand for this that you can really pick and choose your job. And so that's a really great opportunity there. Also, the job security. When it comes to job security, if you're in a position in which you might not know if your job is going to be there years down the line, this is not one of those jobs. Cyber is going to be has always been a career field that is just expanding beyond belief. And that's for a number of different reasons that we'll explore here in a few minutes. Also, again, the high pay. You can expect to increase your pay over time based on your knowledge, your skill set, your experience. And then lastly, one of the big things that I resonate with most is you're making an impact. You are helping secure and defend a company, a small city, a state, a nation. These are the things that you are giving back to help with making sure that things are defended. And if you'd like to learn more, bottom there is a resource that provides a number of different opportunities and resources to explore more in all of these different areas. So cyber career is, in the cyber career, there's a number of different challenges that must be faced. And this is where, you can really focus on making a difference, making an impact. Because of market evolution and the way that the market very quickly changes, we are developing capabilities faster than we are able to keep pace and defend and create secure options for those. We often focus on the functionality of capabilities. So think of your iPhone or your Android, and we love capabilities, right? But every so often that iPhone and that Android have to be because over time, a number of security functions have to be introduced so that system remains secure. And because of that, we're rapidly seeing this evolving threat, right? So we're seeing a lot of cyber attackers having this environment in which they can rapidly change and shift. And it's harder for defenders to shift along with them to make sure that we are introducing secure measures so that we could face those challenges. Also, it's really interesting when you start thinking about how you coordinate defensive actions so that, we are looking across an enterprise. We are looking across multiple different agencies, whether it's a corporate agency, a federal agency, a state, a local, and or nation agency. So those are really different. It's a different perspective and dynamic of how those actions are synchronized so that you can have a successful effect. And then lastly, a very interesting thing that continues to evolve over time is cyberspace policy, laws, and authorities that are continually having to be evolved because they are outdated. As the environment changes rapidly, everything changes around that, so that laws and policies and authorities have to also be changed to make sure that we have a strategy to keep pace. So a number of things that you will also have to face is the types of threats that are associated within the cyber world. This is a 2013 graphic, so you will note that there are a couple of things that are missing here, one of which has been getting quite a bit of news time within our news cycle, is essentially ransomware. Ransomware is a huge source of type of attack and technique that often people are using now to basically go after and organizations. And it's another criminal factor in which we have to consider in terms of what we have to think about within our realm, and what do we have to know in terms of how these people are motivated, the types of techniques that they use, and what types of effects that they can have against an organization or individuals. And so this is just a really big list here of kind of things over time that we've identified. And this list continually grows, again, based off of the fact that this environment continually evolves. So as you can imagine, we are becoming more and more interconnected every day. We are now starting to call this the Internet of Things, where everything is starting to be interconnected and connected to the internet. And so as you see here, there's a smattering of different areas in which there are connections that would allow cyber to be something that needs to be considered. And so when I say cyber targets, this is something that bad actors or actions could be taken against for bad reasons. And so because of that, we have to have a field, a cyber career field around this to understand how do we design and develop these things. We need to have security in mind when we do that. How are they implemented? We need to have security in mind when we do that. And how are they connected overall? Are they connected individually? Are they connected as a group to multiple things? Could that introduce other vulnerable factors? And so these are the things that you often have to consider during your cyber career. And you have to figure out, what are the strategies in which we build these things, we implement them, and we also secure them. And so, as I mentioned, there's a number of different types of jobs and available jobs out there. I've talked about some of the ones that I've had the opportunity to work. As I mentioned, there's a whole gamut end to end when it comes to cyber. And so the National Initiative for Cybersecurity and Education, the NICE Cybersecurity Workforce Framework that you see here, this provides you kind of a blueprint of exactly what type of available jobs are there. And it aligns them to different categories. It organizes them in such a way that you can actually see what type of roles and tasks and type of education and skill sets you might need. And so this is a wonderful, wonderful resource that you should absolutely look at to determine, what kinds of things could you be working in a cyber career. And then CyberSeek is a fantastic interaction or interactive map that allows you to look at the supply and demand across cities and states. And it's fantastic because it shows you what type of requisitions are out there, how many, and in what areas. And so I encourage you also to check out CyberSeek so that you can see some of the different opportunities, even within your own local area, and maybe areas you want to move to that have some jobs in the areas you care about. There are a number of different education options here. You do not have to have only a computer science background to get into cyber. You can work you can get an education in anything, and it is applicable to cyber. You could do psychology and learn more about the human factors piece, about the interaction between humans and machines. You could get into the policy and law piece and understand and create new policies and update new laws that allows us to secure that might help you with intelligence studies and get into the area of understanding what it means to do cyber threat intelligence. And then software development. All of these things play a role, and this is not an all-inclusive list here. There's a number of different directions you can take. There's also a number of different certifications. These are just two of many examples that are within this area that, should you get certified, this is something that allows you to kind of showcase your skill sets in these areas. So you don't necessarily have to go to a very prestigious college. You don't necessarily have to go through a number of different areas to get to a place where you're now in a cyber career. You could definitely work small with cyber certifications. You can get into community colleges. You can get into other four-year degree type programs, and then you can work off all of that knowledge, and you can take many different paths within this the cyber career field. So I just want to point out a number of different college programs that are sponsored by the National Security Agency, and then there's also different cyber degrees that are being categorized through a website here. And so the NSA actually has a program in which they sponsor what they call centers of academic excellence in the cyber career field. So you'll note that you'll see there cyber defensive focus areas. There's one with cyber operations focus areas. There's even Intelligence Community Center of Excellence as well, that NSA will basically say that a program that a college has designed meets a number of different criteria and skill sets that are needed within the workforce. And so this is a great resource for you to check out to see what types of programs fall underneath the NSA criteria. There's also cyberdegrees.org, which provides kind of what they call a comprehensive directory of different colleges and universities that offer cybersecurity degrees. And they have a wealth of information on types of paths that you can take, what it means to be part of the security field, and then what it means to also have a security clearance in this area when it comes to supporting national security initiatives, and then how you can get those professional security certifications and what types of free online courses there might be in those areas. Also encourage you to check that out as well. So I would encourage you, if you're in high school, if you're in middle school, if you are certainly in college, start now. There's many different clubs, internships, camps, courses that are free and paid, and then self-taught options that you could take through things like YouTube, or even just learning how to code. There's a number of different resources for young women right now, and here's just a few. Again, not an all-inclusive list here, but definitely ones to check out and just Google and see whether or not these are some of the things that you could get started with. National Youth Cyber Education Program and Cyber Patriot are something that is worked through the U.S. Air Force. And there's also a number of opportunities when it comes to coding, like Girls Who Code, and then opportunities in terms of skill set. Girls Go Cyber Start and Gen Cyber. So at this point, I would normally take questions, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going because I want to showcase a number of different resources that I think would be beneficial for you to check out. First, I want to start, before we get into those resources, I really want to express the importance of cyber ethics. When you are working towards gaining skill set in this area, it is very important that you understand the rules, regulations, and ethics around training and the types of techniques and tools that you will learn within this process. So in terms of cyber ethics, please understand that you must be responsible with your behavior, particularly if you are on the internet. You must be acting responsibly every day so that you do not do the wrong thing. You do not harm others. You stay within the realm of what is expected within this area. And that's that second bullet here. Do not use tools, techniques, or procedures for any malicious or nefarious purposes. If you are working towards understanding skill sets in this area, there are many different ways you can do this, where you can create environments that do not touch the internet, so that should something go wrong, you are not touching anybody else's computer, you're not breaking into anybody else's computer, you're not using somebody else's password, you are not infecting anybody's computer and making it unusable in any way, even if it's accidental. So you need to keep that into consideration. And as I mentioned, every time you learn something new throughout the life cycle of your career, whether it's early, mid, and late in your career, you must adhere to the rules and the laws and the regulations. And here's just a sampling of what that looks like. Should something happen, here is for you to go look at to understand what those rules and regs are and what you could be held accountable to should something happen. So I'm going to jump right into cyber resources. We talked about the NICE cybersecurity workforce framework. We talked about CyberSeek. We talked about the NSA sponsored Cyber Center of Excellence for colleges. And we've also, we've also talked about a little bit about intelligence careers. What I also want to point out is the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Careers and Studies. There's a number of different training options that this catalog showcases based on locations, the providers you prefer, courses you like, how it's delivered, whether it's virtual, in person, the type of specialty area it focuses on, and the proficiency level it gives you. So if you're new, it will showcase newer type things that will allow you to kind of gradually get into cybersecurity. If you are advanced, it has those type of options as well. MITRE, my company, also offers a number of different high school and college internships. And so I definitely want to highlight that as an opportunity there. And this is a paid internship in which you are being afforded the opportunity to learn more in this career field and also gain advanced skills in this area as well, and work with subject matter experts within this field. And then lastly, there's a number of different news and trends. This is just a sampling here of different options that you can look at to really learn more about what this environment is, where we are going as a nation, where we are going as a corporation, all that kind of stuff that you have there. And if you're interested in learning a little bit more about policy, the DoD cybersecurity policy chart is fantastic. They continually update every once in a while. And these policies change over time, but it allows you to kind of look into that area of what it means to follow certain rules and regs. So here are a number of different paid training options. You've got providers that are recognized in the field when it comes to certifications. So GIAC, EC Council, CompTIA, the IC Squared, and SANS. Other training options that are also starting to be recognized more in this area are the McAfee Institute, the Cybersecurity Forum Initiative, and others here. Udemy is also a great online tool. You can find free and paid resources in that area. And then there's also specific companies like Global Knowledge who are reaching out to corporations, individuals, and others to help kind of align them to the right types of training opportunities. And working through their catalog, they've got a number of great training courses that you can work towards. There's also end-to-end training opportunities. One of the ones that I know local to me in Colorado is called SecureSet, where it basically takes you from beginner to advanced. And this opportunity also has a potential to basically put you in a job at the end and match you with some openings that they team with in terms of the local community. And then there's other specified training certifications. So if you're interested in learning more about Cisco, Microsoft, AWS is Amazon's cloud computing information software stuff. And so if you're interested in learning a lot more and becoming subject matter experts in these areas, here are the sites that you can look at as well. So paid training options, this is the last slide for this one. We talked about earlier the Gen Cyber training. So this is a number of different opportunities that you could do for yourself as a student or even as a teacher later on. If you want to do a field and become a teacher, you can basically get yourself spun up in the cyber area as well. There's also Star Talk programs that helps you learn foreign languages, which I think is phenomenal. And it'll really allows you to kind of expand your knowledge set in that area. And then there's Coursera. Coursera is a fantastic, basically a fantastic platform that multiple colleges have devised different types of coursework and focus areas. You know, MIT potentially has stuff on here, and there's a number of different opportunities in which, you know, you don't have to go to that college, but you could take something through Coursera, and Coursera, it will teach you something within the realm of data science, and it'll take you through a set of courses that allows you to learn more in that area. And so those are just 3 different areas in which I know of that are available in Coursera, and a lot of different college opportunities, vendors, and so forth provide kind of their offerings through Coursera's platform. Now, next on to free training options. MITRE Cyber, there's a MITRE Cyber Academy where you can look at a number of different videos that shows different types of trainings, hands-on practice, exercises, and competitions. So feel free to check that out. There's also a Cyber Fast Track, there's Cyber Core, which showcases a number of different scholarship for service opportunities. And I would definitely recommend that for you if, you know, funding and money is a factor when it comes to college. These opportunities essentially say, hey, I will give you a scholarship, but at the end of your schooling, you have to come work for me for a set of years. And that's fantastic, because that's a win-win situation for you and that service, in which they get your skill set, but you also get the experience and a job immediately. And that takes off a lot of pressure when it comes to looking for a job after college. There's also a number of different opportunities with Cybrary. I don't know if the Security Tube and the other Security Tube opportunities there that you see there are still available. These websites may no longer be available, but they were definitely something to check into. Same thing with Udacity and the Center for Internet Security. All these things offered all types of different types of training that you could check out that might align with kind of your career goals. And again, another set of free training options here. You know, you've got, as I mentioned, you know, when we're talking about different types of knowledge and careers, a lot of it is rooted in understanding how an attacker basically goes after an environment, right? So SEC tools and Kali Linux and offensive security, those 3 right there will afford you a knowledge to understand those types of techniques. But again, I refer back to the ethics, understanding how and which and where to use those capabilities. So please refer back to that when you're looking at this type of training. It's fantastic training to really be able to understand how things evolve over time, and then how you can then use that to secure your environment, to secure your infrastructure, to secure your company, secure your data, all those things. These are key skills to know. And then you've also got Capture the Flag events, which is fantastic. There's a number of different hacker challenges. There's Carnegie Mellon's Capture the Flag event, which is open, from my understanding, 24/7. Same thing with SANS holiday hack challenges. While they will do the challenges during a certain period of time for actual ranking, these sites are open 24/7, so that you can go back and you can continue to just get your skills up and running and continually refine them over time. And that's all I have for you today. So you'll see there that I have my email address. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions. I'm happy to talk with you more about anything and provide you any type of lessons learned throughout my career. And thank you so much for this opportunity to showcase cyber careers. And my hope is that some of you in the audience and some of you out there will choose this as your path forward.